Hi, my name is Emily Rhodes, and I'm 32 years old. I grew up in a place called Willow Ridge, a small suburban town where houses wore flower boxes like jewelry, and everyone smiled just a little too hard for things to be real. On the outside, it all looked like a dream. Freshly mowed lawns, Friday night potlucks, and Christmas lights timed with soft music. But behind the polished front door of my parents' home, there lived a truth I've carried with me like a quiet bruise for as long as I can remember. I wasn't born into cruelty. I was born into comparison. My parents, Ellen and Richard, weren't overtly harsh. They didn't scream or hit. Instead, they had something sharper: favoritism. And it all revolved around one person: my younger sister, Haley. From the moment Haley could walk in sparkly shoes and say clever little things, she became their sun. And I became the shadow. When she got a role in a school play, they threw a party. When I made the honor roll, a nod at dinner, maybe. Haley was bubbly, stylish, always surrounded by admirers. I was quiet. I liked to work with my hands, creating things. Jewelry mostly. I'd sit for hours, wrapping wire, adding beads, sketching tiny pendant designs that no one ever wore. Once, I drew a necklace shaped like a crescent moon, with tiny crystal stars. I showed it to Ellen, hoping she'd see me. She looked up for half a second and said, "You've got a lot of imagination, Emily. But you should focus on something practical." So I did. I learned to keep my head down, blend in. I didn't ask for much. I never demanded attention. I just stayed out of the way, out of the light. I think deep down, I believed if I could just be easy enough to raise, maybe one day they'd see me too. But they never did. Years passed. I left home, built a small life for myself. I opened a cozy little handmade jewelry boutique in town. Nothing fancy, but it was mine. Every piece told a story, my story. Customers began to notice. Orders started rolling in. I even got featured on a local art blog once. Still, to my parents, I was Emily, the simple one. Haley was the brilliant one, the sparkling one, the one they saved their real pride for. Then I met Logan. He wasn't like anyone I'd known. He wasn't trying to be impressive, wasn't loud or attention-seeking. He noticed the little things: how I tapped my ring finger when I was thinking, how I smiled sideways when I got nervous. When he looked at me, it felt like I finally mattered. And for once, I started to believe I did. But I had no idea then that the happiest moment of my life, our wedding, would become the scene of a betrayal I'd never forget. Logan and I decided to keep things simple for our wedding. Just a small outdoor ceremony at a local garden venue in Willow Ridge. Nothing extravagant, just a day filled with meaning. The date we picked, May 20th, wasn't tied to anything grand. It just felt right. The flowers would be blooming. The weather would be gentle. It felt like hope. We sent out our invitations early, giving everyone time to plan. I wasn't expecting much from my parents. I figured they'd attend out of obligation, sit in the back, and offer a half-hearted congratulations. But even that was too much to hope for. 2 weeks after the invites went out, I was in my studio working on a necklace when my phone rang. It was my mom, Ellen. Her voice was clipped, like she was reciting a speech. "Emily, your sister Haley is getting married too. She and her fiancé, Ryan, have set a date." I paused, holding my wire cutter midair. "That's nice," I said slowly. "When's the wedding?" There was no hesitation. "May 20th. 2 o'clock. At the Belrose Hotel." I froze. "That's the exact date and time as our wedding." "I know," she said flatly. "The Belrose is in high demand. Ryan's parents pulled a few strings. You're just doing a backyard thing, right? Surely, you can change your date." My stomach dropped. "You want me to cancel my wedding?" I asked, not even trying to hide the disbelief in my voice. "It's not about canceling. It's about being considerate. Haley's wedding is a formal affair. Important guests will be there. Our family name is involved." I swallowed hard. "So my day doesn't matter?" She sighed like I was being difficult. "Don't be dramatic. We just think it's better for everyone if you reschedule." Everyone, meaning them. I stood in the center of my tiny studio, surrounded by pieces of myself, beads, sketches, half-finished necklaces, and realized just how little they thought of me. "I'm not moving it," I said, quietly but firmly. "This date matters to me. We've already booked everything. I'm not changing it." There was silence on the line. Then Ellen's voice turned cold. "Richard, and I think you're being incredibly selfish." I didn't argue. I ended the call. The next few days passed in an eerie quiet. No texts. No calls. Just nothing. Logan kept me grounded, reminding me we were doing the right thing. My best friend Maya dropped by with cake samples and a playlist for the reception, trying to lift my spirits. But then came the news. Ryan's family called off the wedding. Apparently, they weren't thrilled about sharing the spotlight or the venue with another event on the same day. It made them look disorganized, Ryan's father said. Unprofessional. The engagement was scrapped within days. And Haley? She was livid. But not at herself. Not at Ryan's family. At me. 3 days later, I got a message from her. "Hope you're happy. You'll regret this." Just like that. No context. No apology. No reflection. Only a threat. I stared at the screen for a long time, my heart pounding. I knew my sister. And I knew exactly what that message meant. She wasn't just mad. She was planning something. After Haley's message, I tried to shake it off. Logan told me not to worry, but the pit in my stomach only grew. I didn't respond to her text. What was the point? You don't reason with a storm. You brace for it. A few days later, my best friend Maya dropped by again, her face pale and tight. She had just come from her favorite spa, the same one Haley frequented. "You're not going to believe what I heard," she said, practically dragging a chair across my studio floor. "What is it?" "One of the receptionists was talking to her coworker in the hallway, and I overheard them mentioning your sister. They didn't know I was friends with you." Maya took a deep breath. She said Haley came in asking for a skin spray, something that causes irritation, redness. Said it was for a prank at her sister's wedding. My heart slammed in my chest. "You're kidding." I wish I was. The other girl asked if it was safe, and the receptionist said, "Not really. It's not dangerous, but it'll make your face swell up." Embarrassing stuff. Maya looked at me, her eyes wide. "She's planning something, Em. And she's not alone. She said your parents would back her if anything happened." It hit me like a punch to the chest. They were all in on it. Ellen, Richard, and Haley. They couldn't stand the idea that I refused to step aside. And now they were preparing to sabotage my wedding day in the most humiliating way possible. I sat in silence for a long time. I should have canceled everything. Moved the date. Run away. But I didn't. Because something inside me had finally snapped, not in anger, but in resolve. "No," I said. "Let her come. Let them all come. I won't run from them anymore." Maya stared at me like I'd lost my mind. "Are you serious?" I nodded. "They've stolen enough of my life. This day is mine. If they try anything, we'll be ready." And we were. Logan called his friend Derek, a former security officer, and asked him to quietly attend the wedding. We also made sure several guests would be recording. Maya planned to stay close by my side the entire time, just in case. I wasn't afraid of being hurt. I was afraid of letting them win. And for the first time in my life, I wasn't going to let that happen. The morning of my wedding arrived, and with it, a quiet peace that felt almost surreal. The sky over Willow Ridge was a watercolor of soft peach and lavender. The garden venue shimmered with morning dew, and delicate white petals lined the stone path where I would soon walk. Everything was exactly how I imagined it, elegant, understated, and mine. In the bridal suite, Maya helped me pin my hair, humming softly as she adjusted my veil. "You look stunning, Em," she whispered, her eyes glistening. I glanced at my reflection. The dress wasn't designer or flashy. It was simple, off-white, sleeveless, with soft chiffon layers and a tiny satin belt. I had chosen it not for the price tag, but because I felt like myself in it. "I'm ready," I said, more to myself than anyone else. Guests began arriving shortly after. Logan's coworkers from the tech firm, our sweet elderly neighbors, a few loyal customers from the jewelry shop. Everyone smiled warmly. No pretenses. Just people who truly wanted to see us happy. I was downstairs checking the seating chart when I saw him, Logan, standing at the end of the garden in a fitted dark gray suit. He looked calm, proud, like he was waiting for forever to start. Then the cars arrived. Black sedans. High heels clicking on gravel. Loud voices. I felt Maya's hand on my elbow. They're here. From the bridal suite window, I watched as Haley stepped out of the car in a form-fitting black dress like she was arriving at a red carpet, not crashing someone's wedding. Ellen followed, head held high in a string of fake pearls. Richard kept his sunglasses on, his face unreadable. I turned to Maya. We stick to the plan. No panic. At that moment, Derek, dressed like a guest, sent me a quiet thumbs up from near the drinks table. He was watching them. Then I got a text from Logan. Whatever happens, I'm here. I love you. And I knew I could face anything. Music began to play. Maya helped smooth my dress one last time. You sure you're ready? I've never been more ready. Eric, Logan's best man, and the person stepping in to walk me down the aisle, appeared at the door. You good? He asked, offering his arm. I nodded. Let's do this. The aisle was lined with soft white blossoms, fairy lights strung through the trees, flickering like stars. As we walked, I saw the guests rise. Smiles. Cameras. Logan at the altar. I saw the love. But just beyond it, at the far end, I saw the poison too, Haley, Ellen, and Richard, watching like they had every right to be there. I pushed the sight of them aside, because in front of me stood the one person who saw me, not a shadow of someone else, not a backup plan, not the quiet daughter. Logan. We held hands as the officiant began. We spoke our vows. And when he said, "You may kiss the bride," I didn't just feel joy. I felt victory. But little did I know, the worst moment of my life was just seconds away. The ceremony ended with soft applause, warm embraces, and the smell of roses drifting through the air. As Logan and I walked back down the aisle hand in hand, I felt something I hadn't felt in years, whole. The reception was held under a white canopy in the garden's back lawn. Mason jars filled with baby's breath hung from the trees. There was a modest buffet, acoustic jazz playing from a nearby speaker, and a 3-tier vanilla raspberry cake topped with delicate sugar flowers I had helped design myself. Logan kept his hand on the small of my back, his touch grounding me. You okay? He whispered as we approached the head table. I am now, I said softly. Then Maya stiffened beside me. They're here. I turned. And there they were. Haley strutted across the garden like she owned it, heels clicking, lips painted deep red. Ellen followed, pursing her lips with false politeness, and Richard, still in his sunglasses, trailed behind them like a bodyguard who'd rather be anywhere else. Gasps spread through the guests. People whispered. A few stared in open confusion. Derek subtly moved closer to them, alert. Want me to call them out now? Maya muttered. No, I said. Let's see what they do. Haley approached with a smirk. Lovely setup, she said. Very DIY. Suits you. Logan stepped in front of me, his eyes narrowed. But I touched his arm. It's fine. Haley leaned in, her voice low and venomous. You could have avoided this, Emily. You had the chance. Now you'll never forget today. I didn't have time to react. She pulled a small silver canister from her clutch and sprayed it directly at my face. It hit like fire. The sting was immediate. My eyes burned. My cheeks felt like they were being stung by 1,000 bees. The pain shot down my neck. My skin began to swell. I gasped and stumbled back, my bouquet hitting the grass. Screams erupted. Someone dropped a glass. Chairs scraped across stone. Maya rushed to my side. Emily. Oh my God. Logan caught me before I hit the ground, his arms wrapping around me as I whimpered from the searing pain. Call 911, he shouted. Now. Eric was already on his phone. Chemical attack. Willow Ridge Garden Venue. We need paramedics and police immediately. And Haley? She just stood there, satisfied. Ellen calmly reapplied her lipstick from a mirror. She's being dramatic, she said flatly. It's just a bit of spray. She'll survive. But they hadn't counted on the fact that everyone had seen it. And one of Logan's clients, a lawyer, had filmed the entire thing from across the lawn. She assaulted the bride, he told the guests. On camera. This is felony-level stuff. Within minutes, sirens blared in the distance. The paramedics arrived first, followed by 2 police cruisers. A young officer stepped forward, stern and steady. Officer James Grant. He approached Haley first. Step away from the bride, ma'am. She rolled her eyes. It was a prank. Officer Grant didn't flinch. You're under arrest for assault with a chemical agent. As he cuffed her hands, she twisted and shouted. You did this, Emily. You ruined everything. I pressed an ice cloth to my swollen cheek and looked up from Logan's arms. No, I said quietly. I just finally stood up to you. Officer Grant turned to Ellen and Richard next. Based on statements and the nature of this incident, you both are being detained for questioning. We have reports of conspiracy. They were led away in front of everyone. Some guests cheered. Others filmed. A few were too stunned to speak. As I was loaded into the ambulance, Logan climbed in beside me and held my hand the entire time. His voice was soft, but filled with steel. They're going to pay for this, he whispered. I swear it. And for once in my life, I didn't doubt it. The ambulance lights painted streaks across the quiet streets of Willow Ridge as we sped toward the hospital. Logan sat beside me the entire ride, refusing to let go of my hand. My face throbbed beneath the cooling gel the paramedics had applied. Every pulse felt like a flame licking my skin. At the hospital, doctors confirmed the spray contained a mild chemical irritant, not life-threatening, but capable of causing burns and inflammation. The swelling would go down within days, but it might leave temporary scarring. Emotionally, though, the damage cut far deeper. They planned it, I whispered to Logan in the hospital bed. All of it. My parents, Haley, they didn't come to ruin the wedding. They came to ruin me. His jaw clenched. They tried, he said. And now they're going to answer for it. By morning, Logan had already contacted our lawyer, Daniel Price, a quiet, brilliant man who never missed a detail. Within 48 hours, he had gathered everything we needed to file charges. A video evidence from the reception, audio recordings of Haley's threats, witness statements from over a dozen guests, Maya's sworn testimony about the spa conversation, medical reports detailing my injuries. 3 days later, Daniel filed an official complaint in court. The charges were serious. Haley, assault with a chemical substance, premeditated bodily harm, emotional abuse, and public endangerment. Ellen and Richard, conspiracy to commit assault, aiding and abetting, and failure to prevent harm. Their lawyer tried to spin it. It was a misunderstanding. Family drama taken out of context. But the judge didn't buy it. At the preliminary hearing, Haley arrived in a tan blazer and a defiant scowl. Ellen looked like she was auditioning for sympathy in pearls. Richard barely spoke, except to say, I wasn't involved. But the judge, Honorable Maria Reynolds, wasn't fooled. This was not a misunderstanding, she said firmly. This was a coordinated attack on a woman's wedding day. A day meant for celebration, turned into trauma. And all for what? Jealousy. Haley tried to argue. She took my day. She didn't care how it affected our family. And that's when Logan stood to testify. She protected her own happiness, he said calmly. She didn't take anything. They just couldn't stand watching her stand tall. Then it was Maya's turn. She said, she'll regret stealing my day. Haley bought that spray with one goal in mind, to ruin Emily's moment. The final blow came when Daniel played the reception video, Haley leaning in, whispering venom, then lifting the spray can. Gasps echoed in the courtroom. Then it was my turn to speak. I stood slowly. My voice was soft, but steady. For years, I lived like I didn't matter. I kept my head down. I stayed quiet. But not anymore. I didn't just survive this attack. I survived a lifetime of being made to feel like I didn't deserve joy. But I do. And I won't let them take that away from me, ever again. The courtroom fell silent. Judge Reynolds delivered the verdict without pause. All three defendants are found guilty on all charges. The sentences were swift. Haley, 3 years in state prison with no chance of parole. Ellen and Richard, 1 year each in county jail, plus $100,000 each in emotional damages, and a restraining order barring contact with me or Logan for life. As the guards cuffed them, Haley shouted, "You think you've won? You've destroyed this family." I looked her straight in the eyes and said, "No, you did that. I just finally stopped letting you get away with it." And with Logan's arm around me, I walked out of that courtroom, not as a victim, but as someone who finally chose herself. If this story moved you even a little, please don't forget to like, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel for more powerful, real-life inspired stories like this one. Your support helps us continue sharing voices that deserve to be heard, stories of strength, healing, and justice. What would you have done in Emily's place? Share your thoughts below. We read every single comment. And make sure to turn on notifications so you never miss the next emotional twist or inspiring comeback. Because sometimes, the best revenge isn't anger. It's peace, growth, and finally being seen.